I'm currently working on OSWA, so I
Oh,
paused the
nice.
Pen 300 and I started
Hmm.
working on OSWA, and I've actually failed that one twice now. I guess the OSWA, like when I went through that course, it all made a lot of sense to me, and
Hmm.
I almost passed, like I'm like just barely missed it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but the Pen 300, I was like, man, I feel like there's a lot of things I'm not there's like I'm accumulating like knowledges, but I don't know how to connect the dots, and that's
Hmm.
that's the struggle I'm having is like connecting the dots and like when to look for what. I'll figure it out eventually, but yeah, it's maybe it's just I need to do more pen tests, and maybe that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, gaining a level of comfort in that realm will definitely, like, as you continue, especially in this new role. Congrats on the new job, by the way. As
Thank
you're
you.
doing more network pen tests, you'll come across things that you'll have to, dig deeper into, and then it will kind of naturally come through you challenging yourself in that way. But also, as far as the prep work, I highly recommend using the Discord. There's no shame in asking. I always ask questions. I would kind of push and see how far they would, let you ask questions and stuff like that. Um, because there was definitely situations where, I was like, oh, I don't know where to go with this. I don't know where to go with this challenge or whatever. The fifth challenge, I recently did that. If you want to target it, and you're welcome to ask me some questions or bounce some ideas on off of that. But the fifth challenge is pretty close to what the exam looks like. Fifth and the sixth challenges, and I felt like it was fairly straightforward. Some of it is actually kind of OCP level, and then there's like harder portions of it that really test the Pen 300 level topics, with like Kerberos on Linux and things like that, and AV evasion, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, yeah, I'm happy to help you if you have any like specific questions. I won't give away any secrets, but I'm happy to bounce some ideas if you need that.
Okay, yeah, I probably will take you up on that when I pass OSWA and go back to Pen 300, because that's where I'm gonna go back as soon as I
Hmm.
get through OSWA.
Yeah,
And yeah, definitely. Hopefully, I'll probably just go through the course again for a third time and then
yeah.
take better or like make better notes and try to connect the dots better. And then yeah, if I have any questions, I'll definitely reach out. And like you said, the Discord, there's no shame in using Discord because I have tons of questions in that
Hmm.
Discord
Hmm.
from the Pen 300 because there's yeah, it was hard. And I also ask questions for the OSCP as well, and even OSWA. So like I ask questions in there all the time. Definitely try your hardest at first, and then have a list of things that you've tried, because
Hmm.
that's the first thing they're gonna ask you. What did you try? And then
Yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
have a list of things that you've tried, then they're not gonna help you.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, yeah. I've heard different. I've gotten different responses when I've talked to people who've done at least two or three of those 300 level courses. Some people are like, OSEP was the hardest one, bar none. OSWE was the easiest one, and then other people are like, oh, OSED was just like the worst because I've never written an exploit before, like stuff like that. So it really depends on what your background is, and if you do web app tests and you're have a development background or something, OSWE is probably going to be a cake. Relatively speaking, no OffSec exam is going to be a cakewalk, but relatively speaking, that might be easier. And then the OSEP or something might be really difficult. But just personally for me, the other thing I wanted to say is that's a pretty common story with those who are going through OSCP as well. Is hey, I went through all of this content, it all made sense, but then you hit the labs and it's like I don't know how to put all these things together. And that's one thing that I really love helping students with when I teach the course as well is like, okay, now we're going to take all these and we're going to put them all together, and we're going to learn how to do this in the context of a test in this greater environment rather than just looking at this one particular technique of SQL injection or whatever. We're going to see how it fits in to this target environment in you know by proxy the exam as well. So yeah, it's definitely a different skill set once you get to the actual challenges and everything.
Yeah, and I think I want to add into another thing. You said it depends on your background. It depends on how much or how little you're going to struggle in each course. But I also think it also depends on like what do you got going on in your life too. So
Yes.
when you said that, I was like, oh, when I was going through OSEP, I was actually doing a military transition, which is like one of the hardest
Mm.
things you can actually
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that played a part in it. Maybe now that
Absolutely.
I'm settled in my role and I can focus on just the certification more. So yeah, that definitely probably played a factor too, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so unfortunately, we are already out of time. Man, this has been a lot of good information. And so I'm going to ask you the final question.
Okay.
Do you have any additional cybersecurity hot takes or hidden wisdom you'd like to share?
My hot take is it's a difficult realm for getting hired these days. So don't feel bad and don't give up. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, I filled out 100 resumes or job applications and send out my resumes to all these different. It is hard. It's not just you. It's where the industry is at the moment, unfortunately, and where the economy is in the moment as well. And so don't feel bad, but also don't give up. And there are people that are willing to give you a shot, and there are people that are looking for passion and interest just as much as technical skills and ability. So keep your eye out and get involved in the community, and you'll see something materialize. But also be patient, but don't give up. So it's more encouragement than tips, but
That's great advice. And I was getting out of the military, and I got rejected several times, and it's just gonna happen, And even with OSCP, and I had like almost 70 hack the box machines done, 216 try hack me rooms. I know all this because I had to say it in an interview a bunch of times.
yeah.
And even with all the stuff and all my write-ups that I did, it's like I still face rejection. So yeah, it's gonna happen. It's just the best thing you can do is just pick yourself up and keep
hmm
going. And
hmm
someone's gonna give you a chance. You just gotta don't give up, because if you give up, it will never happen.
Yep, for sure.